Hi, guys, and welcome back to Left on Red. It's your host, Sierra, and we have a special guest today, Amy Noble. Really excited. She's a fabulous dating coach. I have Amy here. Hi, Amy. How are you?
Hi, great. Thank you for having me. I'm really psyched.
Yes. So, where are you from, and exactly what do you do?
Yeah, well, I happen to live in New York City at the moment, moving to LA
Okay.
about a year. I am a dating coach, which is literally the biggest plot twist of my whole life. I've, I've been doing this for like 4 years formally, and
Okay.
it all started when I found the love of my life on Bumble about 5 years ago.
Oh, we're definitely going to dive into that. I'm also in New York as well. I'm in Brooklyn, though. I'm
Nice.
very deep in Brooklyn. Yeah.
Nice. Brooklyn's actually the cooler of the two right now.
Yeah, it is. It is. It definitely is. So you said that you started this about 4 years ago when you found the love of your life on Bumble. Now, what was kind of going on in your life 4 years ago? Were you single for a while, and how did you get on Bumble?
Yeah. So I was married for a number of years, 20 years, and had
Okay.
two kids. And for various reasons, just needed to kind of exit that marriage. And,
Yeah.
really, it was the toughest decision that I made. And it's been a long time since I had dated. So I am sitting here in New York, single suddenly, and really could not believe how hard it was to date in real life. I couldn't believe how hard it was to strike up conversations and just meet people
Yeah.
good old fashioned way. And so I set out to crack the code of online dating and did not realize what a task it would be.
Absolutely. Now, you met your husband on Bumble, and Bumble is where you have to message the girl first. I mean, the girls message the guys first. And I feel
Yeah.
like a lot of dating coaches now are kind of like, let the guy approach you and, kind of like be a bit more traditional. And so, how was it going on? Like, how was Bumble versus other apps where guys are usually like messaging you first versus where you have to message the guy first?
Yeah, yeah, it's a great question. I mean, Whitney Wolf Herd changed the game for us
Yeah.
with Bumble and made it sort of our choice, our turn.
Hmm.
It was sort of, it took some getting used to. Now, I am someone who loves chivalry. I love traditional courting as well, but I think there's a happy medium. I had to get used to crafting a message and saying hi first, and quickly realized that it doesn't really cut it to just say hey or like hi. I mean, you
Yeah.
want to just say, like, you want to ask a question that's very tailored to you, like, hey, hey Bob, happy Sunday, what's your favorite podcast right now?
Yeah.
Something like that. But once I got used to that and just learned, it was hit or miss. I learned the hard way. But once you kind of get into that groove, it's really nice. You don't feel inundated as a woman, and you get to choose.
So you guys met pre-pandemic, and then we were in the pandemic. Now we're kind of post-pandemic. Have your feelings changed now on online dating? And do you still advise your own clients to date online?
Yeah, I mean, online dating is here to stay. I mean, 6 out of 10
Yeah.
couples now start as a result of being on the apps. So it's only going to increase. And it's really interesting. I was talking to a past client yesterday. It's like, it's really tough to wrap your head around and get the hang of, but it's
Hmm.
such a gift. It's like someone said, oh, everybody hates the apps until they meet their person. And then they love the apps. The apps are amazing. And it's so true. It really is.
I definitely agree. And would you advise people to pay for an app? Because I know it's different when you pay and you have more access and features versus just doing it for free. What's your take on paying for a dating
Yeah,
app?
yeah, that's a great question. Especially with Bumble and Hinge, I feel like you want to upgrade to that first level. So
Hmm.
it's premium for Bumble and it's Hinge X for Hinge. And it's that level where you can see who's liked you as well. And
Yeah.
that is really, really helpful, so that you can go ahead and reach out faster to people. I don't necessarily think you have to pay for every bell and whistle though. So
Yeah.
you just have to be a little bit prudent.
Okay, great. And now, so I was doing some digging on your website and everything. Like I said, I follow you. I love the content that you put out. And you're a dating coach that focuses a lot on intentional dating, a more like holistic approach. And so I wanted to kind of talk to you more about that. Why do you focus, like, beyond the obvious reason of why like dating should be intentional, right? Like, why is that your approach, and what is the success that you've seen with your clients?
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's interesting. I soon realized after launching Love Amy that we are never taught any of this stuff, right? So like
Yeah.
two things that we should be taught as young people, financial wellness, which can't help you
Yes.
there
Right. Yeah.
at all, trying to figure it out still. And like relational skills. And if
Yeah.
this is arguably the most important choice you will ever make in your life, finding a life partner, why is it that we don't know how to do this? Like
Hmm.
someone called me yesterday and she said, I'm terrible at dating. And the thing is, no one's terrible at it. We just don't know how to do it in terms
Yeah.
of, choosing a partner. It's beyond chemistry. We're never taught. All we know is we're looking for that spark. We're looking for this intense feeling. And
Yeah.
then we're just expecting everything else to fall into place. And the thing is, it's like, life doesn't work like that. I'm convinced that the divorce rate is as high as it is because we're not dating intentionally. And so what does that
Mm,
mean? It means first you have to know who you are. Like you have to get
I
clear
agree.
who you are, what your core values are, what matters to you. And then you have to ask questions early on in dating that are aligned with what matters to you so that you can start to see. I mean, you guys might have this amazing alignment that you both love watching Succession, but your core values might be so out of whack
Yeah.
that your partner to be this potential partner might value friends, family, and sports above a partnership,
Yeah.
right? So if one of your non-negotiables is the partnership comes first, no matter what. Like that was one
Hmm.
of mine. Like I'm at a point in my life, like we're gonna have kids, we have all this stuff, but the partnership comes first. And that eliminated a lot of people I was dating.
Okay, great. You made an interesting point where you said like we're not taught right how to intentionally date. And it made me think about I was dating this guy and he was saying we were kind of like having that conversation like what are your values? What do you want? And he said I would want to be with somebody that's like my mom. And at first I was like, oh my God, like, oh my God, like this is,
Yeah, what's your
he
mom?
wants somebody like his mom. Right. Yeah. But then like the more he was like describing, he was saying like these different characteristics. And the first love that we know, whether it's a good love or not, is our parents, right? We see that growing up, like the type of love that we want or we don't. We make a clear distinction. I want what my parents have, or this is not healthy. I don't want that. But beyond that, you're right. We don't know how to date. We just visually can see or we have a feeling. I want what my parents have, and I know what it may feel like, or I don't want what they have, and I know what how a toxic feeling feels like. And so that kind of goes into my next question of knowing yourself and your own family dynamics. I did like an episode on like how our family kind of molds us and how we become as people when we are full adults. What are your
Yeah.
thoughts on how our own family background comes into intentional dating, right? So I come from a Caribbean background where it's very traditional, like man does everything, woman stays at home.
Yeah.
And I idolized that a lot growing up
Yeah.
until I went back home to Grenada, which is where my family's from, and I saw a very different perspective from women. And I'm like, oh, they're not really as happy, or they're not as, they don't have a lot of, freedom to do a lot of different things.
Right.
And now Grenada is very different from America, but you can still kind of compare the two. So what are your thoughts on, okay, I'm figuring myself out on how to date, but I'm so culturally ingrained, whether, you're like me, Caribbean, or if you're Jewish, or, just whatever you are, how do you kind of start to break that mold and then find who you are, not who your culture is?
I think that's such a great question, Sarah. I really do. And I think one of the questions I ask my clients, I have them fill out this long intake form
Yeah.
before we really dive in. And it's what did love look like growing up for you?
Yeah.
You know, and that's a really good place to start. Just really journaling through that and thinking about that. What did love look like for you and how did it shape you? And so, the beauty is we can break generational cycles if we want. We
Mm-hmm.
can we
Yeah.
can operate outside of our culture in terms of whatever the norms are. And just allowing ourselves permission, just knowing that you can do that, you can make conscious choices that are right for you. I talk to clients all the time where the expectations of how they should be, the expectations of who they should be with. It's like the expectations of when you're going to have kids and what kind of partner you should be and what kind of family you should raise. All of these things my clients battle with. And I coach them on how to, sometimes they have to really draw strong boundaries. Sometimes they have to break away from the
Mhm.
cultural norms that they grew up with, and they have to make that known within their family. That, hey, I'm my own container here, and
Yeah,
don't even ask me about dating. I'm going to do this differently. So knowing A, it's okay to make your own choices, and B, what's that communication plan once you kind of figure out your roadmap?
that's such a good answer. So you talked about the expectations of like your clients. What are some like like a pattern or like trending expectations that women have and that men, or if you work, like if you work with both or with one that you see a lot?
Yeah, it's so interesting. I think I work with like 75% women and
Okay.
25% men now. I used to
Okay.
only women, and men are like starting to say, okay, well, I need help too. And
Yeah.
um, I think it's just a big mess, to be honest. I think that,
That's
you
very
know,
fair.
it's a mess. I think, we didn't have good role models. I mean, not that we didn't have good role models, but we had very different kind of role models that don't reflect, in many cases, the way we want to be. And so
Exactly.
it's like, oh my gosh, wow, I grew up in a very traditional, household with traditional role models that don't serve me and never
Hmm.
have. So I think now in dating, you know, like for instance, women and men both are battling feminine versus the masculine.
Yeah.
And, as women, we have been conditioned to have a hard exterior that it's like we can do anything a man can do. We are on equal footing. And while I'm a feminist, I believe in a lot of those principles, but the hard exterior that we have built doesn't read well on a date.
I agree. But see, and that's a another challenging aspect as well. You have and I get what you're saying. We've been built to you can have the same exact job, and even now women are making more than men. So now it's like, how do I exactly? I feel now some women are like, okay, if I'm making more than you, that's fine, but how are the men going to feel if she's making more? How do you authentically show up as yourself without having to simmer yourself down for the male ego? And I think that's a challenging part. What are your thoughts?
I think it can be challenging. I think, again, we all have a certain percentage of feminine and masculine in us. Okay.
Yeah.
And I think it really takes time to figure out who you are. So for instance, I have these women who I would say all of my female clients are complete rock stars, like
Yeah.
incredible careers. They have defied gravity. They are so incredible on so many levels. But it's interesting because when I ask them, do you like courtship? Do you like formal chivalry? Almost all of them say yes, right?
Yeah.
So here they are, and they're like equality and all of these things, but they still want they want the masculine to lead. They want the, alpha male to lead, but they also want an alpha male who can emote, who can talk about his feelings, who can go to therapy, right? So it is incredibly
Yeah.
confusing for the man, and it is confusing for the woman. And then sometimes I have women come in who are they want to make the choices about where to go to dinner. They want to be in charge. So they're leading with their masculine. They don't see themselves that way, but they are.
Hmm.
It's my job to say, do you realize that, which is great, that you're leading with the masculine. You should be the one asking them out. You should be the one making the plans. And, they often end up with a guy who doesn't lead with his masculine because it would cancel each other out. So
Yeah.
I I think looking at it in terms of percentage, like which do you lead with, I think is the way to go, because that will help you a lot in your dating life.
Okay. Yeah, I definitely agree. So when your clients start working with you, or just in general, do you recommend people to start working with you while in therapy, or is therapy not a factor? How do you go about like the whole intake process? Because I know you're doing your like the dating side of it, but if it has to be intentional, they have to know who they are. Are they breaking that down in therapy and doing both at the same time?
Yeah, it's a good question. That's my favorite trifecta, is a client in therapy. Not that like we're in the same room at the same time, but
Yeah.
I love it because this work really dovetails with that work. It's sort of like really putting a mirror up, looking at what are your roadblocks, what are your blind spots. I can tell once I get to know a client and I'm an intuitive, so I'm very witchy as well. But I can tell when a client starts to self-sabotage before they can. They
Yeah,
don't realize what's happening. They're like, no, 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 I'm just busy. I haven't gotten back to them. I'm like, I think you're self-sabotaging. You're waiting a little bit here. The deeper you get, the more fearful you are. So it's really important to know what work you need to do and to be ready for it and to be open and honest about it. Cause I always say, like, you can only meet someone as deeply as you've met yourself. So
that is, yeah, that's a good quote. Man, that's good.
it's really heavy. It's like,
It's
oh,
really
mic drop.
deep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think my past relationship helped me realize like, oh, like I am not perfect as I like, like I ideally, right? I'm like, I'm the best thing ever. But you do have to like look inside yourself and be like, oh, wait, these are things I could work on and gather it, really like do the deep work for it.
The deep work. And here's
Hard.
a really good question when you're on a date. If you want to assess the emotional maturity of someone and, ask them about their past relationship and ask them what piece of it they own and ask them what do they want to do differently in their next relationship, because you want someone who it can be self-reflective, can be, kind of self-effacing, can really understand that. Because if all someone does is just moan about their ex and it literally puts it all on the ex, it's a big red flag, because you need someone who can say, wow, yeah, we're human, and I guess I allowed some of this or whatever.
Yeah. I love that question. Oh, yep. On my next date. I already have it ready to go. That's a
Yeah.
good
And
one.
by the way, it can be a really uncomfortable question to ask and to put someone on the spot.
Yeah,
But guess what? Not your person. If someone's just like, whoa, I'm not going to go there with you. It's like,
exactly.
if you're really ready, then you got to be ready to dig in and ask the tough questions and the hard questions.
I agree. Now, if you have clients that are still hung up on their ex or a past relationship, or how do you go about that? Like, what's your advice for just exes or getting closure? How do you move on from that?
Yeah, I love that question. It's something that's really interesting because a lot of people that I work with, a lot of clients will conveniently like leave out a detail like that. Like, well, I have this casual guy or I have this one
Yeah.
and I'm like, whoa, back it up. Like, what's
Yeah.
happening? Because you have to think of it like you are this high vibration balloon, okay? And you are the whole goal is to vibrate as high as you can vibrate. That's your energy.
Mhm.
That's all we are, is energy. And when you are accepting something that is less than that, you are letting someone have your energy that, can't give you all that you really want and deserve. You have to
Yeah.
think of it like a pinprick in your high vibrating balloon. It's going to start to seep air out, and you might not look at it that way, and you might just say, well, it's just casual, it's fun, I know what it is, it's cool. What it's doing is it's like deflating that balloon. And so to me, it's really important that when I'm working with somebody, it's like cutting cords, kindly cutting cords, but like, don't follow your ex on social media. Don't do it. I mean, I cannot believe
I
how
agree.
justify it though. Like, I have really good friends and I'm like, what are you doing?
I
Because
know.
what it's doing is, again, you have to just think of it as like, it's lowering your vibration and it's taking up time and space and energy that you want to be giving to moving forward and your future person.
Why do you think people still follow their ex? I feel like it's a good way to keep tabs personally on the person and kind of just like do that little check-in, like, oh, are they married? Yeah, oh, do you have the girlfriend yet? Or
Okay,
but I
but
think it could
here's
be
the
something deeper because that's just surface level.
Yeah, it's still when you are checking on people on social media that you
Mm-hmm.
used to, it really is, if we're looking at different vibrations, that's a very low vibration thing to do. I would rather you get on an app and swipe or read a book or dance to a music that you love. Like, we don't need to be checking on exes. It's just, you have to think of it as like, it's a negative habit. It doesn't serve you. And it in fact can sort of like, if you see, I had someone say to me the other day that called me upset, like, oh my God, my ex, I saw him on Facebook and he was like with this new woman. And it's like that, even that energy right
Yeah.
there that you're spending, it's like, it's
Yeah.
deflating. we don't need to do it. Like, be kind to yourself. You don't, just, let it go.
100%. And if they were your person, you guys would be together. You have to let it
Exactly.
go. You have to, I agree. You have to let it go. Okay. That's a good point. Um, for people who can't afford a dating coach right now or want to work with you, but it's just not in the cards for them, what are some things that they can actively be doing before getting a dating coach?
Yeah, that's such a great question. Follow me on Instagram. I have lots of
Yeah.
tips and tricks. But I often say, like, a journal is your literal best friend in any journey, but especially your
Mhm.
dating journey. And here's why, because, and I do automatic writing every morning when I wake up,
Yeah.
sort of like clearing out all of this subconscious stuff that's like weighing us down. And it's often when you just free write, it's like your higher self pops in. It's amazing. You just let your hand write, and all of a sudden it's sort of these wise words sort of coming out, or maybe it's an idea, or it's just like getting rid of your frustration, getting rid of some of this stuff. And it really works. And I think sometimes I hear a lot, like, I'm not a journaler and I don't like journaling. So I
Same.
get
That's
that.
me. I was going to ask that. If you're not a journaler, what else can you do?
Yeah. Well, I think meditation is always great. I have this 555 kind of tip where
Hmm.
a lot of people say, oh, I don't know about meditating, and it seems so
Yeah.
not good at it, or it seems, tough to do. So when you get up, preferably before you grab your phone, there are, like, the Calm app. There's some really great apps. Do a 5-minute guided meditation. I have a couple on my Spotify, on my podcast as well. So it's a
Okay.
5-minute guided meditation. So all you're doing is shutting your eyes, following along. Grab a journal. It's 5 things you're grateful for, and write 5 things that you love about yourself. And if you
Oh, I
start,
love that.
yeah, and it's easy. It's 6 minutes of your day. If you start every morning and you do this for 1 week, I promise you, you won't even know why, but you will just start to feel lighter, because you're starting your day with positive thoughts. And you're
Yeah.
starting your day with positive thoughts about yourself.
Hmm.
And then you're kind of, getting rid of some of the stuff just through meditating. So between journaling and or the 555, I think that's the way to start.
And how do you know, I guess for on the client side, how would they know, like, what are the different types of qualities or things that if they want a dating coach that you're looking for? So like if they're like, okay, I want a dating coach and you have like an intake meeting, what are 5 things you're looking for in them to know that they're serious
So
about working with you? Yeah.
so what am I looking for in a client?
Yes.
Yeah, I do information calls every week, and I do them to see if we're a match on both sides.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing it's funny. I'm glad you asked that. So my biggest predictor of success in dating, because I like to succeed, uh,
Yeah.
my biggest predictor is not what someone looks like. So I never do video calls.
Okay.
It's not how old someone is. It's not what they do for a living, and it's not where they live. And it's not their age. So the
Okay.
thing that I am looking for is energy.
Mm.
Okay. So when I feel someone's energy and it's like this high vibe, like, you have great energy. It's like high vibe, curious, like, I might be scared out of my mind right now, but I
Yeah.
want to go for this. Like, I'm just
Yeah.
put myself out there. Let's do this. That's the energy I'm looking for. I have chills. And always 100% of the time is predictive of success. They could live in a tiny little town
Yeah.
somewhere, Arkansas. It doesn't matter. It's like, and so that is the most important thing. And I think that's just important to know that, we all have that friend that walks in the room and they just are magnetic. It has
Yeah.
nothing to do with what they're wearing, with what they look like, anything. And then we all have the friend who sucks the energy out, and you're like, good God, I don't know what's going on, but I just can't with this. And so that's what I look for,
Okay.
for
Those are
first and
great things. Yeah.
foremost. Yeah.
Yeah. Your energy and your mind and how open you are, especially with dating, you have to be open. I agree.
You have to be open. I mean, you have to look at it like, I always use this example with people when they say, I can't even look at these apps. I can't look at the profiles of people. And I said, okay, if you were looking for a new house and there was a brand new house app and it was super new and cool, and everyone's like, hey, get on this app, and you wanted to find a mid-century modern cool house, and all you were being shown in your town were these brick houses, would you like burst into tears and throw your phone? No, you'd be like,
No.
oh, wow, okay, I'm looking for a unicorn. I guess I'm going to have to be patient
Yeah.
here. Not many
And you
houses.
really search. Yeah. You sit
Yeah.
down and you get
And
to
then
it.
maybe after like a week and like
Yeah.
so much, you'd be like, oh, there's one that's sorta, maybe I'll just go check that one out. Okay, cool. I mean, and so, it's really very emotional, and people, you have to look at it like anything else. If you're going to change careers, how would you set that as a goal? What
Yeah.
steps would you take? And you would, every single day, you'd have to commit to like moving the needle a little bit. So even if it feels uncomfortable, it's like, go out on some discovery dates. Like, no one's going to be perfect. No, there are no perfect profiles. That's not the thing that's going to hook you. You got to just start meeting humans.
Exactly. You have to just practice it over and over until you meet your person. And if it
Yeah.
doesn't work out, that's fine. You learn something, but you're like, to me, I think, okay, I'm now one step closer to finding my person. I'm really, like even if it doesn't work out, I'm still really excited because
But
I'm
that's
like, I'm
amazing. And I wish
closer.
more
Yeah.
people had that attitude, because
Yeah.
you have to think of it this way. Your person is right now, your person is out there and he's getting ready for you. They're getting ready for you, right? So
Exactly.
like, you are doing the same thing. So by going on discovery dates, you're learning new things about you. You're learning new things about another human. You're practicing getting vulnerable. You're practicing sort of like elevating your energy. So there is no date that goes like unwasted. It's not like wasted time. It's just, you have to look at it differently.
I agree. Now, you work with, I'm going to assume most of your clients are here in New York, but also in other places here in the US.
They're all
So,
over.
how is all over? So, how is it? I think the dating scene in New York is a very special, delicate, very different from
Why?
the rest. I think it's different because the culture in New York, like even dating when I lived in Florida, it was just like it's a bit slower in Florida. People have a bit more time, and there's kind of like this southern hospitality. I just think, like, in the South, in just in general. And
Yeah.
I think in New York, my experience dating here, everyone's really busy. They're trying to fit you into their schedule because we all have a calendar that's like packed. It's crunched, and there's so many options and different people to date and what to do and what to see. And I think guys and girls get really bored here in New York very easily, in my opinion. Like, you could be talking to somebody, but I've seen and heard my guy and girlfriends are like, yeah, I like this person, but it's going good, but I don't know, they're like a little boring. And I was talking to somebody else on a dating app, and like maybe they'll have something different to offer. And so I think we're always kind of looking for the next best thing or what else is out there, and not cultivating the person that we really like, in my opinion. But I would want to hear, what do you think?
Yeah, I hear that a lot. I do. I think we have to look at it a bit differently, that New York, to me, and I've worked with clients in so many cities, big and small. New York is the absolute number one best place. And you have to look at it like, what beautiful choices there are.
Yeah.
The breadth and the depth of people, in terms of there's every single like area of industry is here.
Yeah.
It's like you go to the Bay Area, you go to LA, you go, like, a lot of places just by nature are one industry towns or something to that effect. New York
Mm-hmm.
is like, literally, you can date an actor, and you can date a chef, and you can date a teacher, and you can date an investment banker and a doctor, and they're all
Yeah.
top of their game. And it's unbelievable that
And it's
the
very diverse. I think the diversity here is unreal. Yeah.
unreal. It's beautiful. And it's like, you literally every single day you're swiping on these amazing humans so I think New York City is just incredible. But I do think people do get paralyzed by the paradox of choice, and the feeling that like, oh gosh, I'm just this temporary thing. But I think
Yeah.
that's just a mindset. I think we have to look at it like
It could.
beautiful choices.
Great. So I had a few questions from our followers. It was the same question, just in different variations, but essentially, a lot of them want to know. They're saying, I've been manifesting my person for a while. I went to therapy. I'm intentional. It's been so many years. I still haven't found my person. What am I doing wrong? And how can I make it past the "it'll happen someday" statement that people give them? What do
Yeah.
you do when you've done the work and you still haven't found your person?
Okay. I think that's a great question. And first of all, there's a great book called Manifesting Made Easy, and it's by
Mm-hmm.
Jen Mazer. I took her master's course, and that is an incredible book that I have my clients read. And it's a workbook, and you can do it just in like a few days' time. And that really breaks down how manifesting works. And it forces you to write down other things you've already manifested. And
Yeah.
but the biggest block I see over and over for people is you can go to therapy, you can read the books, you can write it all down, you can say it. But if you don't believe it, it's not going to happen. So you have to really, really start to embody what you want. Love is one of the highest vibrations that exist. So guess what? Match it. You have to live in love. I have some clients who have a hard time manifesting. Start every day by blasting their favorite song and dancing like they're 7 years old. And that literally will shake off a lot of their fear and a lot of their apprehension. And I do this too, not enough, but like when you are done dancing in your kitchen to your favorite song, you feel so different. You are vibrating high, and
Yeah.
make sure you're sparking joy for yourself every day. So that one of the simplest ways, and I made this a New Year's resolution, and I keep forgetting it. And then I'm like, yeah, but smiling when you walk around in your world through the day. Like
That's
we
so hard.
it's hard. It's
It's
so hard,
so hard. Especially
but
here in New York, guys. It's so hard.
hard,
But
but
it's good. It's a different energy though. I do realize when I'm more like smiley and I have a welcoming or warming energy, you
yeah,
get that back versus when you have, resting bitch face, you're like, I kind of stay away. That the vibe of like this is my space, I'm closing it.
yes.
People do, give you that stonewall of like, okay, I'm gonna respect your space.
Totally. And so it takes courage to walk around, but like you might just be in line at CVS and you're smiling at the cashier. You're like, hey, your hair, I love that hair, or I love that dress you're wearing. It's like just starting to spark joy throughout your day. It makes you feel good. I mean,
Yeah.
and it starts to raise your vibration. And so that's one thing, but just the belief that you deserve it, the belief that you deserve anything you can possibly imagine, that you are
Mm-hmm.
worth it. So the self-love and the self-compassion, again, getting back to the 5-5-5 rule, where you're meditating and writing down 5 things you love about yourself and 5 things that you're grateful for. Gratitude is a superpower when it comes to manifesting, because gratitude, it is nearly impossible to be depressed or have anxiety when you are living in that moment of gratitude that like, oh my gosh, I mean, I have a good friend, dear friend who died of ALS a number of years ago. And when I'm having a really tough day, I go back to Randy and I think about Randy and I write down, like, I am so grateful for this breath. I am
Mm-hmm.
so grateful for this health. I am so great. And it literally will turn my entire day around. And
Yeah.
so gratitude. And here's another tip: be grateful in advance, okay? Because the universe has a very funny little language around manifesting. It likes to hear in present tense. So it's thank you, universe, for giving me the love of my life. I am so grateful. Thank you. We have this amazing life together. So you say it like a weirdo. Say it out loud. It's not, I used to say it. I built my wedding playlist. I built my
Mm-hmm.
wedding guest list before I met Brett. And I went to CVS one day and saw a wedding card and I plucked it. This was before I met him. And I wrote my love and I wrote out, it's the same card I'm going to give him. And, it's just living in this feeling of like little kids can intuit what's around the corner. I would wake up and be like, he's right around the corner. It's just a matter of finding him. Okay. Am I going to find him on Bumble? Am I going to find him, around the corner today? Who knows? And so really, and find a person in your life who also is manifesting something amazing, and have a partnership and check in with each other. Here's another, I'm like babbling, but here's another, there's a great book called Signs by Laura Lynn Jackson. And she's a very famous medium. And that book is all about how to communicate with the universe. And so I have my clients pick a sign. So whatever pops in their head, like an
Mm-hmm.
owl or a horseshoe or, bumblebee. And we text each other because I start to manifest for my clients and I start to see their signs too. And it's just a fun way when you see your sign and you'll see it, you'll start to see it. Like anyone listening, pick one right now, whatever pops in your head, this is your sign. And when you see it, tell your best friend and like text each other. It's the universe going tap, tap, tap. I hear you. And then it's really important to say thank you every time you see your sign. Say thank you. Like Bumblebee is one of mine, and I see it literally every day in some weird way. And I'm like, thank you for the bees.
I
Um,
love that. No,
yeah,
these
it's
are
really
such great, really great tips. Well, Amy, thank you so much for coming on. And can you just leave us with one piece of advice for our listeners?
yeah. Gosh, I have so many. What's a really good piece of advice?
Or a nice quote, something to like end it off, like really.
Yeah, I think I love this, that you can't miss what's meant for you. You really can't miss what's meant for you. So, just put out your intentions and spark joy for yourself and try not to get too frustrated. I have people all the time and they're like, I have to swipe an hour a day. And it's like, no,
Yeah.
no, no, no. Like, yes, be on the apps. Yes, walk around in your world and be open, but sort of like set it and forget it and just try to have fun throughout your day.
That's amazing. Well, thank you so much, Amy. Let us
Sure.
know where we can find you at. What's your at on
Yeah,
Instagram, your handle?
sure. My handle on Instagram is at love.amy.nyc. But all my information is on my website, which is loveamy.co. I think my cell phone's on there. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, perfect. Well, thank you so much, Amy. It was a pleasure, and I'll see you soon. Hopefully, I might be coming to you. Who knows? But
Hey, yeah, knock on my door right here.
yes. All right. Thank you. Bye.